edit these?
Yeah. Greetings, greetings. I'm Elton R. Brewington from Discover Brightside, and I have the amazing benefit of pleasure of having one of my own friends, colleagues, and fellow alumni here for our podcast. And she has done us a great favor by sharing with us amazing details and benefits about one of our astounding and incredible great minds of our time. Now you look at people all the time, and and all the time I was at A&T, you know, because when I first got to A&T, personally, I was encouraged to take to go to business school, and but I reviewed and considered, and I met Dr. Redmond, but I never met Dr. Craig. And so here we have one of his students, one of his proteges, who can share with us information about the book she has written, about his great leadership, his tenure, and his direction, and his mantra as an educator. So, without further interruption, please share with me uh, Tanya Mitchell. Tanya Mitchell.
Well, thank you, Elton. I always like to start with how I came to tell the story. I'm an accountant, not so much a writer, but I'm an author now. And
Uh,
the stories was deep. I came to tell the story in a very deeply personal way. Dean Craig, when I was a student at A&T, he put me on scholarship. I was a good student. I studied hard, worked hard. He put me on scholarship. And that relieved the financial burden from my family, to me getting an education. And after my junior year, I went home because I had typing jobs in the summer. I'd go to DC and type. My older sister lived there, and she got me typing jobs. But this particular summer, after my junior year, I went home preparing to go there, and I got a call from Dean Craig. And he says, Tanya, come back to Greensboro. I want to fly you to New York. And he flew me to New York, and I stayed at the Hilton right across the street from Arthur Anderson. He set me up for an interview for the internship program. And the next week, I was in the internship program at Arthur Anderson. And the experience from that, it allowed me to have an opportunity to see what I would do with this degree, accounting degree I was getting, because there weren't a lot of African American accountants in the mid 1960s to the end of the 1960s. We had only about 100, and so I didn't know any, but I had read in a magazine when I was in the sixth grade that accountants have jobs where the business is good or bad. And then my neighbor, I followed him to A&T, but I happened upon this great man who was the dean of the business school, the School of Business and Economics at A&T, and studied accounting. So I listened for his retirement celebration 3 years out, starting in 2010. It came in 2013, April 2013, but 3 days before I was to leave to go, my son went into the hospital, and he got a bad diagnosis of kidney disease, and it upturned my life. I never made it to the retirement celebration because of the severity of the diagnosis. But during the time, I say that God spoke to me and said, write the dean a letter to express your gratitude for everything he did for you. That thought went dormant. This was my son did not survive. He passed in July 2014. October 2015, fast forward, I go to my homecoming at A&T, and I'm talking to a fellow Aggie, and he says, Tanya, I didn't see you at the dean's retirement celebration. Almost 2.5 years later, he's asking me this. And so I said to him, I explained to him what had happened in my life, what kept me away, and it was a bit emotional. And the thought of writing that letter popped back in my mind. And I said to him, I said I was going to write the dean a letter to express my gratitude. And he was so connected to my emotion. He looked me straight in the eyes. He says, Tanya, you should write that letter. So I'm saying that to say that was the first phase of me getting involved in writing this book. I had no intentions of writing a book, but by the time I got back to New Jersey the next day, I said, God spoke to me again, and he said, not only should you write your letter, but you should compile a book of letters from his students. So October 2016, I delivered 113 letters from
Wow.
students, faculty, uh, administrators at the university, colleagues, and special friends of the dean. And each letter was so unique. Each person shared a very unique experience they had with the dean. And so I presented it to him informally, yeah, informally. And then when I got back home, I was like, now what am I going to do with these letters in sort of a way to formally publish them? During the process, I learned so much about the dean because this was before the era of a lot of social media where you learn everything the day it happens. So
Sure.
I didn't know a lot about the wonderful work he had done in building I knew about building the business school, but the rewards he had gotten for his great work. And so I published I had the book of letters. I looked at them, they were so unique, and I felt that they needed, and I had a little bit of the dean's backstory. His story was the backstory. I had had the sketch of his career, the letters, but I felt the history was needed to make both of those things relevant. And so I asked the dean, can I write your story? He said, yeah. He empowered me. He said, yeah. And that's how I came to write a book.
Amazing. What a great story, Ms. Mitchell. And share with us, what is it when you expect uh, buyers of the book, when they read the book, what do you want them to get? I mean, I get that he was an amazing community guy and he knew everybody that knew him and he knew them personally. But that's powerful. But what is it that you want people to read when they read the story that you deliver to them?
Well, Dean Craig was a man of great humanitarian spirit.
Mhm,
And so I tried to make sure that that came out in the book.
mhm,
He, I mean, I mentioned before that he really cared for his students. He cared for his faculty. He cared for everyone. He had a few experiences in his life that were life-changing, and one of those is one of those solidified gratitude in his life.
mhm,
And from that, if I can help somebody, became his favorite song.
mhm,
And so he lived a life of trying to help people. And so I characterize him as a man of great humanitarian spirit. Um, and the work he did, it's like the letters, each letter I said had a unique experience with how he was helping students, empowering them, giving them the opportunity that helping them get the opportunity that he himself could not get, and that was getting into corporate America to have a wonderful career. And so there are lessons for leaders in the book. Dean Craig was a remarkable leader. Once he got our school accredited, our business school accredited, and the business school accredited, he was a full member of the AACSB, the accreditation body, and he became an advocate. He advocated for what was needed for um, Black colleges, for HBCUs, in order to have sustainable quality business programs. And that he identified the most difficult task he had in building the business school was finding PhDs in the business disciplines. And obviously, as being an HBC during that time when he started in 1972 at A&T, African Americans were the most likely people to be employed at the school, but there was a dearth of African American PhDs. So he became an advocate. And from that, he had national impact in helping to create the PhD project, which has created thousands of African American, Hispanic, and Indian American PhDs in the business disciplines.
mhm. Your description is amazing, and I dare say that there are great needs for our community to find those because even now there are professionals, corporate minds who are find themselves in a place to be able to maximize the capacity for our professionals to reach more people, teach more people, and exemplify, if that's a word, to get them in front of people. And that's amazing. And if the readers who would buy a book are looking for destinies that they can proceed to do great service, then that's a great point to be. If more and more people say, I like what he did. I'm inspired by who he was and his story. So that's a market and target, and I'm impressed by that. I didn't know him very well. I knew of him. I heard of him, and I had all my friends. As a matter of fact, I won't mention names, but this is amazing. This is amazing, and your book and the courage to write your book, I commend you for it, and I'm excited about what that means and where it can go, and how we can be able to improve the value of that. So it's a great time to consider that. So kudos to you, Ms. Mitchell, for writing this book, Tanya, and I'm expecting great things from it, and whatever we can do, Brightside can do to help you maximize that capacity, we're here for that. And so thank you. And his story now, let's get his story out. Let's get his story out. Any final words before we start the recording?
Well, thank you, Elton. I'm so appreciative of those wonderful comments, and so there's something in the book for not only leaders. There's something in the book for students, and you know, he demanded excellence. And, I profiled some of his students who excelled in their careers. So there's something in here for everyone, for leaders, for students. Uh, Obviously, I hope students will understand the value of a mentor and certainly the value of education and being purpose driven in your pursuits.
Thank you. Thank you. Discover Brightside.